Hello, I'm going to cover shapes and buttons today, and I'm just going to tack on to this template we used on a previous video. When dealing with a shape, you might get the impression that we don't use it very much, which is true, and there are better options, but I'm just going to run through it anyway. Okay, so I'm going to drop in a block. I'm going to put in place for two items on each side. I'm going to pull in a shape over here. Let's pull in that shape. Just to have a look at what the shape has as its in its properties. We can give it a background image or video. We can give it a color, and we can fit the image or stretch it, or however you want to do that. We can give it borders and radius. We can give it a shadow. We can give it a link, and that's about it. The shape, if you want to have a text, you can't put a text into a shape. You can only put one above it or around it. So that's really the reason why I say, well, what do you really want to use it for? I think it was used in sort of previous developments, but since then styling has moved on. They still offer you the facility, but it's not used very much. What I would suggest then is, if we see, okay, well, let's bring in a block or layout block here, and if we look at the parameters on this, we've got, let's just look at the size, 220 by 220. Let's do the same on this block. We give it a pixel, we give it 220 by 220. Let's bring in an image in the background. I'm just wanting to show you that you can do pretty much the same. If I remember correctly, this for the shape, this has a opacity here of 50%. We can just double check on that. Border, I think it is 20 pixels all round. And I'll bring in the background color and I'll show you what's done there. But in the meantime, and we can bring something in on top as well, inside, which to me is the point of actually having it. And we can align that and change it however you want to do that. Just to go back to the shape, just to get it looking the same. Okay, we've got a color there of a hex code of 220045. Let's just copy that. 50% yes, that is on 100%. So we go back to this, we paste in that there, and everything else is the same. Close it. So here's a shape, and there's a block, which we've got an added advantage of bringing some content on top of it, however you want to do that. So the reason for having a shape is not, you won't use it, but if you do find a reason for it, or you like to use it, then, you know, by all means go ahead. Let's move on to the button, and I can show you how the button works. Drop and drag wherever you want the button to be. You'll come up with a number of options or button styles. You can style your own button. It's very simple to do. You just have a shape, or you just have not a shape, a background image, or you can just have a background full with a radius like over here. We can even make our own button. I can show you how to do that. Let's just select the button, and there it is. So if we have a look at the button options here, the properties, we've got one. The first one is the name, but just to get this away here, let's just put in we'll just put in a hash there, which is like a dummy link. Okay, the name that appears onto the button, so we can just contact us, whatever the case may be. You see it is sizing according to the text, which is quite handy. There's the URL, which is the link. You have different types. What is very nice is if you want to link it to another page, in this particular case we've only got one page, but if there were more pages, you will just have them here. You can just select a page. If you want to link it to a web address, HTTP something, you can link it here. You can link it to a file, like a PDF file, link it to an email address, to a phone number. Phone numbers work well for mobile phones. You know, you can just click the link and it phones it, and you can link it to a pop-up. And you can have a link text, which means when you hover over the button, it shows a link text. The link can open up in a new window. You can have that link with a no follow on it, which means you're saying to other bots and search engines that are looking, you must not follow that link, and you can open it up as a pop-up. You can change the font of the font and various other aspects of the text, the size, the line height, the alignment, the letter case, uppercase or lowercase or capitalized, the spacing between the letters, and you can also change the font size depending on the screen size. So if you only want the mobile phone to be 80% of the font size, so as you go smaller screen, smaller fonts, you can do that here. You can change the styling in bold, italic, underline. You can change the text color. This is for default, which means when the button is not active, it's just there, the default one. When you hover over the button, you can change exactly the same, and when the button is active, it can change. In other words, like with a menu, when you're on that particular page, that is then active. So you can change the background color. You can put an image at the back as well, border, and you can put a shadow. And you can do the same for hover. So when you hover over the button, you have a different color. Let's just change it to a slightly lighter color over there. Let's go to preview, and as you hover over it, okay, there's something else that's changing that. We need to just have a look. Let's go back and have a look and see if we can fix that. Okay, hover. Okay, background color. We change the color of the text. So let's leave that white, and we say background color. We wanted to change it, but then we just pick up the color. All right, we should have the color in. There should be the color. Okay, we make it slightly lighter. Close it. Okay, let's see if we have. There we are. Okay, so just a subtle change. And we can have a shadow to it. It also sometimes looks nice on a button, just makes it pop out a little bit better. And that's it really, as far as a button is concerned. You can, with a button, you can, what is also important is that we can change the radius of the button depending on how. Okay, we should rather select the button first. Border, we've got a radius there already of 6. Let's make it 50, just for a big change so we can see what's going on. And there we are. There's a change there. But any item you can really turn into a button. The shape, here's a shape, for example. It can be a button. You just put a link in it. But under the button item itself, what is nice is that you can make changes based on different mouse actions. So that works well. And then then obviously you can fit in the sizes and minimum size and maximum size and allow it to adjust automatically, which works quite well and just makes your design look better. Right, well that's a very brief overview of shape and button.